Well, hello, and welcome to another edition of Shrink Wrapped Book Reviews. I'm your host, Jonathan Jahali, a quadruple board certified child and adolescent psychiatrist, Pisces Sun and Aries Moon. And on this channel, I do a lot of book reviews, both of books that my patients have recommended to me, and also that colleagues and friends have sort of suggested that I read for various reasons. Well, today is more of an academic kind of book review, and this is a book called What Works for Whom by Fonagy, Cottrell, Phillips, Bevington, Glaser, and Allison. What Works for Whom, and the subtitle is A Critical Review of Treatments for Children and Adolescents. This was a book that I once saw a supervisor of mine, Dr. Clive Chamberlain in Toronto, carry around with him to consults. And he would do telepsychiatry consults to Northern Ontario, Iqaluit, and other places. And, you know, in between his diagnostic interview and the feedback that he gave, he would leaf through the pages of this book. And I was always sort of like, oh my gosh, that's a book, that's a relic, like it's a physical book. We're not looking at UpToDate or Medscape or what have you online. And Clive Chamberlain was a really interesting supervisor of mine. He had gone completely gray. I mean, granted, he was 80 years old and still practicing as a child and adolescent psychiatrist, and incredibly quick, incredibly witty, and incredibly on it. And so when I saw this book, I kind of asked him what it was, and he said basically it was like, you know, the UK, many UK famous people, Fonagy being one of them, gathering together the literature and summarizing the literature on child and adolescent psychiatry. And so everything is organized by diagnostic category. There's, you know, sort of synopses of epidemiology and intervention, and psychological interventions and pharmacological. So if you are at all interested in child and adolescent psychiatry from a more academic point of view, I would say 10 out of 10, What Works for Whom beats out Dulcan's Child and Adolescent and also Lewis's Child and Adolescent Psychiatry texts, in my opinion. Maybe it's because I'm a Canuck, I'm a Commonwealther, but I think the Brits have a very grounded, at least in my opinion, and non-pharmacological or non-pharmaceutical company influenced kind of take on child psychiatry. Less is more. And so this was a great read for me in preparation for my child and adolescent psychiatry board exam this past year in 2022. And hopefully it'll be great as a resource, or at the very least as a pretty coffee table book that you can tell your friends and co-residents that you read through. It'll change your life. So until next time, happy reading and love yourself.